Welcome back, everyone, to episode 103 of the Popcorn Podcast. I'm Tommy Cresta. Beside me is not Ryan Fran today. And I'm here to talk about some movie news and to, of course, review Indiana Jones 5 and the Dial of Destiny. Make sure to check us out on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcasts, everywhere else you find podcasts, YouTube, TikTok. I think that's it at the moment. Oh, and go subscribe to our Patreon. It's only $2 and you get a bonus episode. You get to watch a movie with us. And yeah, so go check us out there too. So starting off, I want to talk about our official casting of David Cornsweet is now our Superman of the DC universe, which is a very good casting in my opinion. He's wanted to play Superman for a while now, and he has a very popular quote that he talked about how much he loves Henry Cavill and he loves the dark brooding version, but he wants his next Superman that he sees to be happy, lighthearted, much more like the comic accurate version of Superman that we've always gotten to see. And so I'm super excited for him. I'm excited for the movie. I think James Gunn's going to do a great job, and I think Mr. Cornsweet is also going to do a amazing job. But yeah, I guess that was really the only movie news I had to talk about. But moving into Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, I went and saw this film by myself, and I adored this movie. I think the best way to word it is that this is the best movie we could get with an 80-year-old Harrison Ford. And that's nothing against Mr. Ford. He changed my life playing Han Solo, Indiana Jones, and those characters have been the reason why this podcast is kind of a thing in the first place, because if I never saw those movies, I would have never made the podcast. I would never fall in love with movies. And yeah, so I adored this movie. I truly did. I loved every second of it. It's not perfect. I know that. But from just an Indiana Jones fan, I truly did love this movie. I loved every second of it. And I think it was a great send-off for the character. And I know that's not 100%, I wouldn't say controversial, but I know the movie's not loved critically so far. But it's definitely a lot better than what it debuted at. If you remember that podcast episode, it debuted at a 30, I believe, 30 or 40, which is not good. Not good at all. I actually have this movie sitting at 81 currently, and I really, really enjoyed myself. Going on to the critic side of things, though, this film is currently sitting at a 6.9 out of 10 on IMDb, a 69% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes with an 88% audience score. It also has an 82% on Google. For those who didn't know, this movie was directed by James Mangold. The story was written by George Lucas and Philip Kaufman, and the actual screenplay was written by James Mangold as well. And as we know, it was distributed by Walt Disney. And how do I want to say this? I know people were thinking about it, and I know how I first thought about when they announced it. Like, I was super excited, but then you start worrying about woke culture, and I truly think this movie avoided it. And people were super nervous when Phoebe Waller-Bridges was cast, and they were like, "Oh my God, they're just gonna implement her as the new Indiana Jones and all that kind of stuff." That's not true at all. It's not. She's actually great in the role. She plays Indy's goddaughter, and she was amazing. I loved her in the movie. She plays Helena, and I thought she fit perfectly. I had no problems with her. I had no problems with how they did Indiana Jones, because people are going into this and like, "Oh my God, like all this stuff," and they're forgetting the dude's 80 years old. He's not gonna be able to move around like he did when he was doing Raiders, Temple of Doom, Last Crusade, even Crystal Skull, which he does do a lot in that movie, but he's 80 years old. I'm happy that he did a lot of his stunts in this movie. And I just want to give James Mangold a massive amount of credit for this film. He killed it. He really did. I love James Mangold. I think he makes some great movies. 310 to Yuma, Logan, Ford vs. Ferrari, all these movies. I was nervous when Steven Spielberg wasn't going to direct this. And I think it's a fair reason to be a little bit nervous. A franchise that this guy has done over and over and over again. And now finally it's someone else's turn. But then you think about Logan. James Mangold took that franchise over, and he gave Logan a great send-off, even though he's coming back for Deadpool 3, which we also got a first set photos of. Very excited, but that's a whole different thing. But James Mangold came and took a franchise that I would say it's definitely one of the most beloved franchises. Maybe not to like Star Wars level, but he he did it. He made an Indiana Jones movie, and it's not perfect. The movie's it does rely on CGI a little bit in certain sequences, and this movie was at its best when it was on real sets. It was much smaller scaled, and that's when this movie felt the best and truly felt like an Indiana Jones movie. And you have those great action moments where you're like, this is an Indiana Jones movie. This is what I came to see. And Mads Mikkelsen, I loved him as Valar. I loved Boyd Holbrook as Kleber. I really liked the entire cast. I liked Antonio Banderas. I just truly, really enjoyed myself. And I think this is exactly what we were going to get when this was announced. And I'm so happy, so happy that they didn't make Indy like some crazy, he's 80 years old, but he can still do all this stuff. They showcase that he's 80 years old. He cannot do all the stuff he was able to do before. And something that I remember our friends at Raiders talking about, which I thought about as well after I got to hear from them, was when I knew Disney was making this, and this is a much different time in filmmaking than it was when the first ones came out, when Crystal Skull came out. It was a big thing. Like, is Disney going to show on screen killing, which has kind of, especially in PG-13 movies, has become a lot less. It's a lot of off screen killing, showing you someone's going to get shot. They show the person shooting, but they don't show the person getting shot. And I thought about that. I was like, they really could change completely what these movies are. And they didn't. There's some brutal kills in this movie. Um, and they didn't shy away from the action. They didn't shy away from anything. There was blood. There was gunshots. You watch people get shot. You watch people fall, get hit by cars. All this stuff that made it feel like an Indiana Jones movie, as crazy as that sounds. But if you're an Indiana Jones fan, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I just want to say one thing about Harrison Ford again. Sorry, I'm writing this down so I can make a TikTok clip out of this. And that is, I love Indiana Jones. I I really do, and I made a post about this I think yesterday. I saw a really cool TikTok that someone made, and it was watching Indiana Jones in 2005, and then to being a grown up watching it in the theaters at how now 2023, and that struck me pretty deep because I'm I've loved Indiana Jones since I was a little kid, and the movies have really changed everything I've wanted to do in my life. I remember as a little kid, I would watch these with my dad. I've always loved Raiders of the Lost Ark. Anytime they would go down to the snake pit where the Lost Ark was, I would get so scared because I don't like snakes. And knowing that a hero, like a massive movie hero, was afraid of snakes was so good to see. And it was so refreshing. And it was just something that me and my dad had. It was something I got to do with him, was watch these movies. I've seen them 100 times each, and I think 90% of those times I viewed it is with my dad. Um, Cinemax just had a all day marathon of all the Indiana Jones, and me and my dad were watching it all day, and that's just something that I loved. I can clearly remember going to see Crystal Skull when that was coming out, and I remember the trailer. I remember everything, and I believe I was 7 years old when Crystal Skull came out, and I remember going with my dad, and I was all excited. And it's the scene when he puts his cap on, but it's his shadow on the car. And I just remember getting chills down my entire body, getting goosebumps because I was so excited to see Indiana Jones. And this was the exact same way. But this time I went by myself, and my dad's alive and everything. I don't even think that my dad's gone. I went and saw this by myself, and I just remember I was sitting down, and at first I was a little nervous when the first sequence starts. You see them. I didn't love the de-aging, and then they get onto a train, the Nazi train, and he turns around, he puts the fedora on, and I was like, this is it. This is Indiana Jones. Like, excuse me. And I was just so excited. And this franchise means so much to me, and I think it means so much to so many people that I think they did deliver They delivered a great send off for Harrison, a great send off for Indy, and I would love. Hopefully, we stick to what Harrison Ford has said about Indiana Jones. When Harrison Ford dies, Indiana Jones dies as well, and I hope they stick with that. I hope that's the way that this goes. I don't want to see a remake. I don't want anyone else play Indiana Jones. Harrison Ford is Indiana Jones, and he always will be. So again, thank you, Mr. Ford, Mr. Spielberg, Lucasfilms, for giving me, my dad, and so many other people so many amazing memories, and truly understanding what it is to make a good movie, a movie that has heart, it has comedy, it has action. And I know that maybe some people don't love this movie, and I'm okay with that. Not everyone has to agree with me, but I did. I did love this. I had such a good time just seeing Indiana Jones again, and I just loved it. I loved every second of this movie. And as I said, it does have its problem. It has the CGI, and I think the CGI is my main issue with this movie. And I know the ending is going to be very controversial with people. People are not going to love this third act. I did. My dad loved it. My brother loved it. I thought it was such a cool idea for his send off. And this is, I think, the way it had to play out. And I'm not going to spoil. This is a spoiler free kind of review because I do want to review this again with Ryan. But James Mangold, really, you did it. You recreated something that I didn't think anyone else could do. I didn't think anyone but Spielberg, besides George Lucas, could make these movies. And you proved that you can. Someone else can make this movie. And he did a great job with it. There are times when the movie doesn't feel as true to Indiana Jones as the original four, which is always going to be the thing. Especially if it's a different director, it's going to have a different vision. It's going to look a little bit different. But there's a car chase scene that brought me back right to watching Raiders of the Lost Ark. There's lines, there's sequences that just were Indiana Jones scenes, and that's all I wanted out of this. I wanted to feel like it was part of the franchise and not some completely different thing that didn't fit with the other four. And it did. This one, to me, I probably have this ranking them. It's Raiders first, Last Crusade 2. And then, I'm not gonna lie, any other, it'd probably be Temple Doom most of the time at 3. But this is definitely 4, and then 5 is Crystal Skull, which I still love. I do love Crystal Skull. I love all these movies. But this one and Crystal Skull's main issue is too much CGI. I like the practical sets. Me and Ryan have talked about this about numerous movies, not just Indiana Jones. But times when they use actual sets, you're really there. It feels so much more realistic, and you can actually be in the movie. It makes it feel like you could reach out and touch it. But there's sequences in this one, and of course in Crystal Skull, that it doesn't feel that way. And that's probably just my main thing against both those movies. And Crystal Skull, I think, did it much worse, actually. I think Crystal Skull did too much. The times they do in this kind of makes sense because can't have Harrison Ford doing a lot of the stuff anymore. But knowing that he's the one riding the horse, they did go underwater. They changed it up and add some CGI here and there. But Crystal Skull has full sequences that are CGI that you just know don't look right. And thank God this movie doesn't have Shia LaBeouf swinging from vines with monkeys. So that's an upside. And this movie answers everyone's question of where Shia is. And I'm not going to tell you what the answer is, but it is probably him explaining what's happened in his life since the last time we saw him is the best scene in this movie. Just hearing Indy talk about his life and everything he's been through, and knowing where Marion went, that's another huge part of this movie. And that's all in the same sequence. You learn where Marion went, where Shia's character is now, and you learn everything in between. And it was just, people like to say that Harrison Ford phones in a lot of his performances, and maybe he does, but he definitely doesn't when he does Indiana Jones. He loves his character, and if you have any doubt in your mind about his feelings towards playing Indiana Jones, go watch his D23 Expo. He goes on stage and talks about Dial of Destiny, and he cries. And for those who don't know Harrison Ford, not the most emotional guy. He's very closed off, very monotone, But he cries. He's so happy to have done this movie. And then you watch him react to his can, standing ovation for him. And you're like, this guy loves this character, loves this franchise. So yeah, I really loved Dial of Destiny. I think it was a really well done film. And no, it's not gonna be not Temple Doom. It's not gonna be Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's not gonna be The Last Crusade. It's not. Those movies are two of the greatest action movies, greatest adventure movies ever made, and probably forever will be. And but I will tell you this: it's better than Uncharted. It's better than Crystal Skull. It's better than a lot of movies. And people, I think, audiences are realizing that as this movie's sitting with audiences a lot higher than it is with critics. And this movie was made for the fans, as Tom Cruise says. He makes the movie for fans. Doesn't make them for the critics. Doesn't make them for the awards. He makes them for fans to have enjoyment and to watch this movie and make memories. And that's what this movie is. And that's why I'm going to see it again. I'm going to see it with my dad. I'm going to see it as many times as I can. I love this franchise. I love Indiana Jones. Harrison Ford is one of my favorite actors. And yeah, I think everyone should go check out Dial of Destiny. I really, really loved it. And I'm telling you, if you're a fan of Indiana Jones, you will like this movie. Maybe not the third act. That's going to be very controversial. But if you want to hear more of my thoughts, maybe a little bit more in depth, I think I did a better job writing it, where I answered on my letterbox. I talked about it a little bit more. But yeah, I think this was a really well done send off for Indiana Jones. And I think it was a great way for Harrison Ford to say goodbye to the character. And I'm not gonna lie, they leave the door open for something else. And that's up for you guys to talk about and to look into yourself. But I think they left it open for the opportunity of something. And if they do that, fair enough. They don't, fair enough as well. This can be, hopefully, this is the end. I would like this to be the last Indiana Jones project ever. I don't want anything else with the character. Unless they're going to do maybe a TV show that features Harrison Ford and he's explaining stories of when he was younger. But don't try and remake these movies. You'll never get it right. I don't care who directs it. It's just never going to be the same. Yeah. So, yeah, I really did like this movie. And I know I keep saying it, but that's what it was. I did. I was so happy. Like, there's scenes that just put a smile on your face. And if, like, you get goosebumps, you get chills, you get so excited over some things. And that's the point of this movie. That's what it was. And it worked. It really did. I enjoyed myself a lot. So, yeah, that's really all I have to say about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I know this is a shorter review. I promise we will put out another one with me and Ryan both talking about this movie. But at the moment, this is what I have to say about the movie. And yeah, the next episode that we will be talking about is Insidious, the final chapter, which I'm really excited to see. So I'll be seeing that tomorrow. Tomorrow? Yeah, tomorrow. And that'll be fun. So that'll be the next episode you guys get. That should be at the beginning of next week. I think you guys should have it. But yeah, my recommendation of the week is going to, of course, be Raiders of the Lost Ark. I think everyone should go check it out, especially if you haven't watched in a while. It's so good, and it will always be one of the best movies I've ever seen. So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to continue liking, sharing, and downloading the podcast. Make sure to go check us out on TikTok. Shout out to A24 for liking one of our TikToks. That was pretty cool. And yeah, thank you guys for the unconditional support for the show, for me and Ryan. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys next week.